Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of November 28, 2021. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, and it is a big one. If ever there was a week where so many of us could feel like the energy shifted in important ways, in notable ways, or in big ways, this certainly would be it. Now, a part of the reason is that we are going to end this week on a total solar eclipse. Now, this total solar eclipse is taking place in the sign of Sagittarius, and it is the last of a series of eclipses that has been taking place in Sagittarius and in its opposite sign of Gemini for over 2 years now. Now, here's something I want you to consider as well. Almost to the day 2029, 8 years from now, we are going to have the next eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. So it's going to be a few years. And that eclipse is going to be almost to the day, to the degree, almost to the degree of this eclipse. And so I'm going to have to put a note in my own calendar as well. Whatever it is that happens in our lives now, in some way, it will connect or accelerate once we get a few years down the road. Now, I know that it can sound like a long time, but I'll tell you, you blink and you will get there. Sometimes I am very surprised at how quickly time can go by, that I have had to actively do meditations to slow down time so that I actually am here present for my life and I live my life. Because time can go by very fast if we let it. And if we don't stop to experience it fully. And so, of course, stay in the moment, experience it fully. But I've been saying for a while now, I mean, I think back to 2018, 2019, I was making decade ahead videos. I was talking about the decade ahead, the 2020s. And I've been saying that the world that we will have at the end of this decade will be a very different world than we had at the beginning of this decade. In so many ways, there are such powerful and notable changes and shifts that are taking place that the world really is going to be a very different place. Now, imagine an eclipse in the sign that has to do with the world, our relationship to the world, our personal understanding of how it is that we understand our place in the world. That's part of the energy of Sagittarius. Another part of the energy of Sagittarius is our relationship with those and relationships with those that we consider other than us, that we consider foreign to us. Do we embrace it? Are we curious about it? Are we open to it or not? Where is it that we are open to different perspectives on the world or not? And consider that right now, right, as we are embarking with this eclipse, this last of a series of eclipses, we're going to have the next one at the end of this decade. Consider how different the sky is going to be once we get to the end of the decade. Right now, under the light of this eclipse, not only is it about the eclipse, but very notable, very important is the fact that just 2 days before the eclipse, Neptune is going to go direct. After being retrograde since June, Neptune, the planet of dreams, of hopes, of wishes, of fantasy, of imagination, has been retrograde, has been turned inward. Imagination has been very high, but this energy that also represents compassion has turned in on itself. And now as Neptune gears up to go forward, it isn't just about the awakening an eclipse promises. A solar eclipse promises a brand new beginning, a fresh start that can seem like it comes out of nowhere. Eclipses happen because they involve the nodes of the moon. And the nodes of the moon in astrology are powerfully karmic symbols. They speak to the direction in which the soul desires to go in this lifetime. When it is the transiting nodes, it's the direction that the collective desires to go. The world decides to go for a certain period of time. Now, we have here the nodes being powerfully activated with this eclipse. And so there's an awakening that this energy does indicate. This energy speaks to us opening ourselves in new ways that we hadn't anticipated, that we perhaps didn't know before until we did. And opening ourselves up to different ways of considering the world. These are truths that are highly subjective. That's what the energy of Sagittarius covers. And then sharing those truths is a part of this energy as well. Well, what does that mean to share them? How do we go about sharing them? And how is it that first we need to be changed by changing our truth, by accepting where it is that what we once held as the truth no longer applies? Well, Neptune going direct can help us with that, because Neptune going direct can help to shatter and shift illusion. It can change up energy. That's one of the great gifts of Neptune going direct. It can help us to move beyond just what our flights of fancy may be, what our hopes and wishes or desires may be, and instead look at how it is that we can actually implement what feels so idealistic into our lived experience, whether personally or collectively. That compassion that might have felt like it's turned in on itself, well, I think all of that is about to open right open wide. Where it is that perhaps it was difficult to see another perspective, my hope is with this energy that in an instant, we find ourselves more willing. In an instant, we find ourselves more able, which is more than just being willing. And so eclipses represent seeing things in a whole new light. That's what a solar eclipse represents. So 2 weeks before the solar eclipse, not last week's video, but the week before, I spoke about the lunar eclipse. Now, lunar eclipses are different in character because, yes, they do awaken and involve a higher, more loving vision for our life, even if it isn't obvious right away. It's about an alignment with a higher, more loving vision for our life. But lunar eclipses are more like an emotional truth that was there all along, but maybe we weren't ready to look at it or ready to admit it, or maybe we hadn't acknowledged it fully. And then the lunar eclipse happens and it's just so evident. It's so undeniable. We see it differently in the clear light of the full moon, of the eclipsed lunar moon. Well, with the solar eclipse, it's a little bit different because solar eclipses can really feel surprising. They can really feel shocking. They can really feel like this new light, this new perspective, this whole new way comes out of nowhere. Now, here's something really great about this eclipse that I'm really looking forward to. Now, okay, one thing first that's not so great, Uranus, okay? Uranus is quincunx this eclipse with precision, with some precision. This eclipse is hand in hand with Mercury as well. And so that Uranian connection, the type of conversation that astrologers call a quincunx, one of its characteristics is surprise. It's a very quick moving energy that seems to come about out of nowhere and asks for resolution very quickly and very often finds it. So we have to integrate these different energies, find ways in which this solar eclipse and Uranus are going to get along. So that's all about the surprise factor. That takes us a moment to understand, to adjust. But Saturn is sextile this eclipse, and a sextile is a harmonious conversation. Now, the most supremely harmonious conversation, when I say supremely harmonious conversation, I mean a trine. But the thing with trines is trines represent blessings, and we've got a key trine this week that I'll talk about in just a moment when I get back to Neptune. But with trines, the blessings can feel like they're just showing up, or we have a sense that they're always there. They're always going to be there. It feels as if our ability to understand or to manifest wonderful things is right there and available to us. But the thing is, with life, we need a variety of experience, just like we need a variety of aspects. The thing with trines is that they can, characteristically, they involve making us lazy. And what we consider good or great aspects, right? We think of trines as great aspects because they represent blessings. But the truth is that life is filled with a variety of experience for a reason. It all has its meaning and purpose and beauty, even the hard aspects as well. Hard aspects like squares, they get things done. Hard aspects like oppositions, they make us look at things from a different perspective, even if it's hard. Hard aspects like conjunctions, well, they are deeply transformative. They are immersive. They help us to understand the depth of the human experience. And that may be one of the most valuable sources of compassion. You know, it truly is the case that we need to go through whatever it is that we go through throughout our lives in order to become whomever it is that we are meant to become. But how much we embrace that journey, well, that is a personal choice. We can resist the journey, we can be angry at the journey. But when we're willing to approach our journey with an eye towards, or at least the question of how it is that perhaps this could be part of our journey towards greater love and greater wisdom, to ask ourselves that question even when it's hard, even when it seems like this situation can't possibly have anything to do with love and wisdom. Well, that's how we become more full, more beautiful, more varied, more acknowledging of our complexity as human beings. That's when we really embrace the human experience. And so with this eclipse, we've got sextile to Saturn. Now that sextile is going to start kicking in early in the week, because as we begin the week, the sun meets Mercury in the sky. These two planets traveling close together are then going to perfect alignments with Saturn at the beginning of the week over the course of Monday and Tuesday. But it is that eclipse that is speaking in harmony, is sextile to Saturn. And so I spoke about trines. Trines make us lazy. Sextiles are easy aspects, but they are sometimes considered a greater blessing than a trine, because with a sextile, we feel like we have a lot more control. It isn't just that good things show up, but rather we start to sense that there's something we could do. And when we take action, then we improve our circumstances for the better. I remember many, many years ago looking at the chart of somebody, and he was asking about his finances. And I was looking at the aspects in his chart around finances, and it was filled with sextiles. It was nothing but sextiles. And I was trying to tell him, look, there's not going to be a windfall here, right? Things may not necessarily feel easy. It's a sextile. It's not going to be totally easy. Easy to the point of feeling lazy? No, that's not a sextile. But What will happen is there will be ideas, there will be certain options and opportunities that present themselves, and you're going to have to evaluate if it's worth the work. What I saw in his chart at the time was hustle. Like, he's going to have to hustle if he's going to want to align with greater prosperity. He didn't like that too much. He wanted me to tell him there was going to be a windfall, that everything would get easy. But if everything was just about the windfall, if everything was just about sitting back and allowing the winds of fate to make everything amazing, well then how would we grow? How would we learn? How would we become these complete, complex human beings? If it is that we can understand that we need this variety of experience if we are going to become the very best and fullest versions of ourselves, well, then we can start to at least glimpse some of the perfection of those things in our life and in our past that maybe has felt painful or difficult or hurtful. It doesn't mean that anything was ever okay where it wasn't okay, but it does mean that whatever it is we experience, we use it to become better. And so, the sextile, there's hustle with the sextile, but we're motivated to hustle. That's the great thing, and we're able to see improvement as a result. Because of the sextile of Saturn, ultimately we also have a long-term perspective. Yes, eclipses can come on by surprise. They can redefine us in all kinds of ways, in powerful ways. I've seen dramatic shifts in a life take place over the years, my own life certainly, but the lives of so many other people. And it all centers around eclipses. Eclipses are powerful. The more further off we've gone from the path of greater love and greater wisdom, the more further off we've gone from a path that is higher and more loving from the perspective of the universe for us, the more dramatically those eclipses can shift us. But because there's a sextile to Saturn, we're able to recognize what the long-term benefit could be if we embrace the change. We're able to recognize how it is and where it is perhaps we are being guided or we are being led to put in the time, to put in the work towards what it is that we desire to manifest. Saturn is one of those planets that is thought to be karmic in that you reap what you sow. But really what Saturn asks is that we become whom it is we need to be so that we can have what it is that we desire. You know, I remember one of my favorite quotes from Iyanla Vanzant. Now, I'll tell you, I know she's a big TV star, became a big TV star, but I remember so many years ago, before I knew her name or recognized her name, before she was ever on television on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Iyanla Vanzant was an author and is an author. And I found in a bookstore this little book of meditations, daily meditations by her. And I found them to be so powerful. I had that little book with me for a couple of years going through those meditations. It was beautiful. One of her quotes that I have seen her speak of and I've read in her books, now we're going way back into the 90s when I heard of her talking about this, but it really stuck with me. She said, most people think you need to have in order to do, in order to be. But the truth is you need to be in order to do, in order to have. And what she was saying with this is that be and become whom it is that can achieve that dream, that goal. It isn't about the end, just like the sextile. And just like the example I told you from many, many years ago, the chart that I looked at, the lovely client I had, a chart filled with sextiles says you have to be in order to do, in order to have. you can't just have. It isn't just going to show up. And with Saturn, that is certainly the case as well. With Saturn, you get as much as you give. But the great thing with Saturn is that what you build with Saturn has the potential to last a really long time, if not a lifetime. And so we've got this sextile of Saturn. The eclipse is saying change, right? A whole new world, a whole new perspective, a whole new way of looking at things can present itself to us. Now, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with this understanding? What are you going to do with this different perception or perspective now about your place in the world? What is it going to mean? Well, it has to have practical implication when Saturn is sextile. And us thinking that the winds of change are just going to come in and breeze through and everything's going to be lovely and beautiful. Well, look, sure, it's always going to be lovely and beautiful, right? That's great. But sometimes we have to earn it, because when we earn it, it means more. When we earn it, we become it. And it is in the becoming it that was always the point. It was always the point. You know, I like to say, and again, I don't talk about myself too much. I kind of like that about my job. I don't have to talk about myself too much. But what I will say is, I was a very rebellious child. I was a very, very rebellious person at a young age. It's all over my chart. I was very rebellious. And so I actually, by the time I got to university, I was older than everybody else there. And that's okay. That's cool, right? I knew I wanted to be there. So that was really great about being older. I was able to get so much more out of the experience because I was older. But because of the journey of higher education and how much it gave me, and because I was able to make that much more of it because I was older than my peers, my counterparts, I really came to understand that it isn't about the degree. It's about who you become in the process. Now, when I say degree, we can take that as a metaphor as well. Whatever it is that you desire to achieve, whatever finds you at the end of a journey as your, gold star or your medal, right? It isn't about the medal. It isn't about the gold star. It isn't about the degree. It's about what it represents. I remember once a friend of mine came to me. I'll tell you this story. A friend of mine came to me and said that they knew a guy who could make a Rolex, okay, for a fraction of the cost that you would find it in the store. And that it would be so good that unless somebody opened it up and knew what they were looking for, there was no way anybody could tell that it wasn't actually a Rolex. And he was telling me like, oh, this guy can make whatever you want. Just give him the design and he'll make it for you. And I remember thinking at that time that, it isn't about the Rolex. It's about earning it. It isn't about just having that little crown on your wrist. It's about who you become or what you achieved or what you did or whatever it is for you. And what that is symbolic of, that's what matters, not actually having it. That's my humble opinion anyways. And that can be said for so many things. It's not about the condo, it's about the journey towards it. It's not about the house, it's journey towards it. It's not about the trip. It's about who you had to become, the journey that you went through to earn that trip, to earn that vacation, to earn that book, to earn that whatever. And that's part of the great gift of Saturn, is that Saturn encourages us to embrace the journey and to know that when you keep it about whom you become in the process, when you keep it about what that outcome, what that manifestation represents, and not make it just about the manifestation, well, that's when whatever you manifest lasts. Its significance grows but so do the benefits of what it is that you have manifested. And so all of us are going to be invited to see ourselves differently, to see our place in the world differently. Now, how is it going to change our lives in practical ways? What new things will we manifest? Which, of course, can be things, but it can also be influence. It can be that we might manifest a more loving understanding of each other. It might be that we become part of manifesting a strength of understanding within ourselves and within each other, of our inherent human connection, that ultimately those things that we say are foreign to us, those people we say are foreign to us, so much of that is just an illusion. Because when you look at what it means to be a human being, it really just comes down to core archetypal experiences. That's what these ancient mythologies represent. That's what astrology speaks to. Core parts of the human experience. Jupiter is hope. We as human beings, we need hope. Venus is love. We as human beings, we're here to learn about love, all kinds of love. Mercury represents mind. We're here to share. We're here to understand. We're here to communicate. We're here to express. The moon is our emotion. It's family. It's community. And we need that. We are inherently social. Even those of us who really love a whole lot of time alone, like me, I have created a life where I get to spend as much time alone as I want. And I like it that way. I really do. But yet we are inherently social. We need connections to other people. It fills us on a very deep, unspoken level to know that we belong. The sun is our individuality. We all need to feel special in some way or another. To feel like we matter, to feel like we are seen. Mars is agency. We need to feel like we have some agency in our life, that we have free will, something that we are willing to fight for, or something that we can trust within ourselves and take action on its behalf. And all of us have a need for some stability. Now, what gives us stability? That's Saturn, but what gives us stability is highly personal. But we need that. We need a rock in our life. And then, of course, there are the outer planets. The outer planets tend to be a lot more generational, but they speak to the expanded understanding of our human need. And so Uranus speaks to our need for freedom and authenticity. Neptune speaks to our need for spiritual connection, our need for faith. And Pluto speaks to transformation, and it speaks to acceptance. Acceptance that sometimes life is not fair, sometimes life can be hard. And that's a part of the human experience as well. And so I think I covered all the planets there. I hope I did. So, yes, we have this eclipse that's promising revelation, but also stability. New ideas that help us to feel grounded. And then we've got Neptune. Let's talk about Neptune. Let's go back to Neptune on Wednesday. Neptune will go direct. Now, when Neptune goes direct, normally, under normal circumstances, it's kind of like we were asleep and then all of a sudden somebody comes and shakes us awake. You know how sometimes it takes a moment after we've been shaken awake or very quickly awakened? It can take us a moment to figure out where we are, what's going on, what are we doing, you know? Like, am I still in my room? In my case, what city am I in? It can take us a moment. However, this particular Neptune direct is a little bit different because on Monday, Mars will form a trine, a supremely harmonious alignment with that Neptune. Mars's agency, as I said, it's self-knowledge and acting from that place. It's our passion. It's our drive. It's our determination. It's the will to live. It's the survival instinct as well. But it's the determination to go our own way, or to make our own way, or to feel something, to feel ourselves as present, to feel our passions, to feel alive. Now, align that energy of empowerment with inspiration, with faith. And that's what we see with Mars trine Neptune. And so I don't think it'll be too much of a jarring experience for us. I think a more likely scenario is that, yes, we feel like we wake up, but we're happy about it. We're empowered by it. We're awakened. In all kinds of ways, we feel more awake and alert and alive and engaged in our lives. And then on Tuesday, we are going to have Venus speaking in harmony with Neptune. Now, this is part of the larger Venus retrograde season. Venus is in shadow. I apologize. The overview for Venus retrograde isn't up yet, and I so sincerely apologize about that. It will be forthcoming. And the Venus retrograde special horoscopes are, of course, in the Superstar space and on my website, nadiyashah.com. But what is interesting about this is that, and to give you a little bit of a preview, because I have a lot to say about Venus, Venus retrograde season. Venus went into shadow trine Uranus. It will station direct January 29, trine Uranus. And throughout the month of December, like not this week just yet, but once we step into next week, we're going to start to feel Venus spend the month of December just hanging out in the sky with Pluto. That is very intense. That is love that digs very deep within. That is love with all its complexity and messiness and all the things that have hurt us just coming out to the surface. That is us having to look at where we are in love and why, even when it's hard, even when it hurts to look at the things that have hurt us. But in the midst of all of these different energies that we have as part of this larger Venus retrograde season, that started November 17, Venus goes retrograde December 19, goes direct January 29, leaves shadow right around the 3rd of March. Will leave shadow hand in hand with Pluto and Mars. I mean, that's a really interesting way to end the larger Venus retrograde season. But again, I'll have a lot more to say about that. But what's interesting is that in the midst of all of this, in the middle of it, right now at the end of November, and then at the beginning of January, and then around the middle of February, we've got these sextiles of Neptune. And that's what we're going to have now on Tuesday. Venus in shadow, not yet retrograde, but in shadow, sextile Neptune. And that's very healing. That's very dreamy. But it's also an energy of how it is that forgiveness amplifies love if we choose it. Compassion for others, even when it's hard, is a gift of love to ourselves, even if that takes work. And how being compassionate towards ourselves might just be the most healing experience we have. One of the core, most healing experiences we can have in our lives. And so we have this Neptune going forward. That in and of itself brings a shift of energy. That in and of itself invites us to get honest, to release, to realize that it's okay to change, to come out of illusion and hope, and to manifest from a place of hope. To make hope real is part of what Neptune going direct invites us to do. And all of this during eclipse season, and all of this leading up to a very powerful new way to look at the world kind of eclipse. A solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse at that. What I love about this week for us, well, wow, what a sky, right? It is consequential. It is big. It is important. It is beautiful. That's the thing. The variety of the human experience is beautiful. And this week, we are invited to embrace the hustle that meaningful change sometimes requires. We are invited to be open to inspiration. There's going to be plenty of that. The winds of fate, yes, will be there and they will be strong. But ultimately, they are there to awaken our own power, our own grit, our own guile, our own willingness to do the work that change sometimes asks. And it is in the work itself that we are redefined in our own eyes, that we cultivate meaningful self-respect. And a person who has that walks through the world very differently, walks through the world with a sense of acceptance, not just for others, but for themselves. It's a powerful thing to see somebody who embraces themselves, who accepts themselves. Nobody in this world has ever been or will ever be perfect. We don't need to be perfect. And that's part of the fun. Part of the fun is we get to embrace life with all its messiness, and we get to get into the mud of the messiness. And in the process, we ourselves may become a lotus, the lotus that grows out of mud. We ourselves may find enlightenment, or maybe brief moments and glimpses of enlightenment, especially with Neptune going direct. But I think most of all, what we may find now is truth, the beautiful light of truth. And when it is that we accept ourselves, the world becomes a much more inviting place. The world and our understanding of the truth expands, and we're all that much more better for it. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs ups. All of it means so much. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you and your sign, log on to NadiyaShah.com. Sign up to be one of my superstars at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded exclusive video scopes each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. It is Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. And just to give you a little bit of a heads up, if you're watching this video early in the week enough, there is a limited time Cyber Monday deal that is happening, which is a 1-month free trial of Superstar for new members. So you may want to check that out at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. You can sign up for any tier and you can try it out free for a month. See how you feel, see if you like it. And then you can cancel, you can downgrade, you can upgrade, whatever feels right for you. But thank you. Whether you're here right now and this is how it is that we are connected, or whether it is through Superstar, through Synchronicity University, or my books at Synchronicity Publications, I'm truly so very grateful for all of it. Thank you. And yes, NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. I look forward to meeting you there. Synchronicity University has incredible events coming up this January at synchronicityuniversity.com. My classes, world-class teachers, including the one and only Stormie Grace, YouTube sensation Stormie Grace, and so many other brilliant astrologers, all of them right now. Choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, really an unheard of rate for this caliber of classes, astrology learning, and teachers. And I'm so very proud of how Synchronicity University has grown, really started to grow with the pandemic back in 2020, which can feel like a long time ago. But it was at that time that I started to pour that much more love into Synchronicity University, expanded it to include lots of other teachers, and it's just been an absolute privilege and an absolute joy. And yes, that tradition is going to continue into January, into another year of 2022 as well. So 2020 is when we expanded, but Synchronicity University has been around since about 2015. And so what's going to be happening? Well, my classes with the winter session at synchronicityuniversity.com right now. Choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class. I'm so excited about the winter classes because we are going to be looking at different goddess asteroids. We're going to have 2 classes on Black Moon Lilith, power and sex. It's a whole new way of understanding Lilith, how Lilith went from being a figure that was rebellious and celibate to a symbol of sexual freedom that she's become, and what that says about your Lilith in your chart. That's what we're going to be exploring here together. And I'm really looking forward to exploring that with you over the course of 2 classes. We're going to look more at Pallas Athena. We're going to look at Vesta, so these goddess asteroids. We're going to look at the sun in the astrology chart, which is going to be very foundational and a whole lot of fun. We are going to be looking at the midheaven more. We're going to be looking at the ascendant. And my very favorite class that I'm really looking forward to, a class that I put together just for my mom, which is astrological timing for beauty routines. Just in time, in the midst of Venus retrograde season, this is what we're going to look at. Because, well, my mom is always contacting me and asking me, I want to go get my hair done. What day should I go? And stuff like that. So I've become a little bit of an expert after going to the chart again and again, going to the calendar again and again. And so I think I have a whole lot to teach you on that. And we are going to go there. We're going to look at what you want to find if you want a tattoo, if you want piercings, if you want cosmetic procedures, including injectables, if you want a facial, if you want to buy new clothes, if you want a new haircut, a whole different style, if you want to change your hair color, like all of that. When to change your hair color, what type of dye to use, what days to use it. Like, that's how detailed I can get with this, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So I hope that you'll join me. Even if you just join me for that class, it'll be worth it. But I hope that you'll join me for all these wonderful classes that I will be teaching at synchronicityuniversity.com this winter 2022. I look forward to meeting you in class. Synchronicity University presents the one and only Stormie Grace, astrology YouTube sensation. I am so very proud of this woman. She is such a shining star. She just keeps growing brighter and brighter. And now she's coming to Synchronicity University. It really is so amazing. And Stormie Grace is the perfect person to be teaching a 5-part class on astrology meets business. This is going to be very thorough. It's going to look at your business chart or your personal chart, to understand prosperity, to understand how it is that you can go about creating business success. And really, Stormie Grace is the perfect person to teach this. She has graduate level education in business. And of course, she's created this incredible astrology business herself that I am so proud of her for. So I hope that you will join us for this incredible session with Stormie Grace, as low as just $5 a class right now, only until the end of December at synchronicityuniversity.com. I look forward to meeting you in class. Synchronicity University January 2022 speaker series is coming up as low as just $5 a class with choose your tuition rate. This is truly so exciting. We've got some incredible teachers on offer here. Maria Wander is going to be teaching on cartomancy and connecting cards to your astrology chart. Sol Jonathan is going to be teaching on the changing of the nodes. The nodes are changing signs in January, moving into the Taurus-Scorpio axis. So this is just such perfect timing to be teaching this. Alex Trenoweth, my friend Alex Trenoweth, recently wrote a book called Mirror, Mirror, looking at famous actors and the actors who play them. And what that says, or famous people and the actors who play them. And so she's going to be teaching on helping us to understand the British royal family and the different actors who've played members of the British royal family. So I think it's going to be a very fascinating and interesting class. I really wanted her to teach a class on this new book that she has. Darren Starr is going to be teaching on career and vocation in the astrology chart. And my dear friend, Margaret Gray of Astrology Ireland is going to help us to understand how to heal relationship patterns that have been painful to us in the past and to understand the astrological chart from that lens. So we have a very exciting January speaker series coming up ahead. Choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class on until the end of December at synchronicityuniversity.com. And thank you. I think I'm going to wrap up because for a while now there's been a helicopter outside. I don't know if you can hear it through the microphone. Been waiting for a while for the helicopter to pass. Just when I think he has, maybe he hasn't. But let me just also remind you, as I mentioned earlier, Venus retrograde special horoscopes are up now at nadiyashah.com and nadiyashahsuperstars.com. I hope you absolutely love them, whether you get them for download or as part of the Superstar membership. With these Venus retrograde special horoscopes, the shortest are like 15 minutes. The longest are over half an hour. So I really spent a lot of time going through the different phases and important moments of this Venus retrograde season for each and every sign. And again, be on the lookout because I will be publishing an overview soon. Thank you everybody for your love, for your positive energy. I am back in the condo that I loved so much. It opened up like a miracle. I swear to God, you guys are incredible. Your energy is so powerful. I hope that you never doubt it. Me asking for your positive energy has led to incredible results in my life. And that's why I ask for it very selectively and very, very rarely, because I never take it for granted. How much it means to me, the trust that you show, the love that you show. Thank you. With all my heart, thank you so much. And thank you again for watching. I hope the helicopter noise isn't bugging you too much, but just from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I hope that you enjoyed this Boxing Day. We called it Boxing Day. It's not Boxing Day. No, it's Black Friday. This Black Friday, this Cyber Monday. I hope that you enjoy it and have a lot of fun. Okay, thank you. Thank you again for watching. Until we connect again, take care. And it'll be a great week. Enjoy.